Penalty in a great resumption of form this season. Fox wins the Austrian Grand Prix and he wins the Italian Grand Prix. A great race for him. Will come across the line here and win the Brazilian Grand Prix. Redemption day for the American driver. She wins the Spanish Grand Prix.
Will be Kubo unless Cado gets an amazing run, which he does.
As he comes to the final winner for the very first time.
Hello everybody, and welcome. This is the Singapore Grand Prix. We're here in Season 7. We came here first in Season 3. A dramatic race that saw ThunderX's first victory since the first couple of races in the history of the league. We didn't come here in Season 4, all due to the Dorvid-36 pandemic. We've come here in Season 5, Season 6, and we are back for a fourth time around the streets of Marina Bay. This should be an absolutely exhilarating Grand Prix. This is a brand new, remember, for this season, spec of car. These cars, you can say, definitely a lot more inclined towards top speed at circuits, and you can already see that the fastest lap times that we're setting here are considerably quicker than what we've seen in previous generations of the Singapore Grand Prix. If you want a frame of reference, the qualifying time, or the fastest qualifying time, that put a driver on pole was Andrews for a 35.720 at this circuit in Season 6. In Season 7, we see a 33.28 already set by Giruni, and I think the timers will continue to get quicker from there. So 2.5 seconds faster already these drivers are taking to this circuit. Right, let's have a little look at the overview of teams. SFR are your championship leaders by 11 points over Flying V Racing. They also have 2 tokens in hand on the Canadian outfit. They look pretty well set. 6.6 points per token, the highest of anyone this season, and that sets them out nicely in the lead. Behind them, FVR, ThunderX have moved themselves now up into 3rd place in the championship, something we were sort of all anticipating would happen, but they will need a minor miracle, really. They've only got 2 tokens more than Superfast Racing, and they need to make up a pretty whopping 29-point gap using them. It's not impossible that they just have a terrible racer for SFR with a 3 token spender, P6 or maybe a P7, and ThunderX can get a couple of sort of 2 and 3 token wins that would see them propelled upwards, but it would all be thanks to the help of the ever rising pit crew, finishing 4th and 3rd in his last 2 races currently as well on provisional pole. So we'll all see how that shakes out. I don't think this will be the final lap of qualifying. I believe they've got 1 left in them. We'll see as they come round, and Giruni does indeed hit the line with 9 seconds on the clock. And it is pit crew, Corvid. Look at all these drivers. Prix, the top 4 on track, are also the top 4 in the timings. We can have a live update of the final lap. Prix absolutely flying through the first sector. She needs to improve by only 2/10 to see her take her first ever pole position in this division. She slightly falls off though. Giruni looks pretty nicely doing out in front. Corvid, a very good middle sector for him. Can he make it count as they come to the line? Will we see any improvement from the current order? Unfortunately not. But regardless, that means that we will see pit crew, the man looking to really rejuvenate his season in the late part of the season, start from pole position. And so it is, the Brazilian driver on pole position. Prix will start on the front row of the grid. Giruni starts 3rd ahead of Corvid in 4th. Then it's Fox starting up in 5th position. Can he finally bring some much needed points for the Fox team? 17 points cut adrift at the bottom of the championship. Grandy will start 6th, that's quite impressive, tokenless. Suicide starts 7th position. Somehow I made it, starts 8th ahead of Goose. And then Kada rounding out the top 10. Todd starts 11th. Kraft In 12th, then it's Anti and Juan, Rito and Abva, Pappy, Caddo, Jake Brad, and Shiloh will start from the very back. Now, a couple things to note. Special liveries being run today, this evening, here in Singapore. Kada and Caddo in the Team Velocity running that Midnight Velocity car. A lovely black looking car with a red tinge on the side pods, a tribute to their livery of the last couple of seasons gone by. The sort of red and white colour scheme, this is more black and red really, but very lovely nonetheless. And also there seems to have been a bit of paint fallen off the Neon Sunset Virtual car. It does seem bluer than ever, so not quite sure what that's about, but it was under the insistence of the team owner. So looking at the tokens now, we'll go in order of the list. Pit crew, 3 tokens will start from pole position. 3 tokens for Corvid, who starts from 4th, not a bad position for him to start. Goose will be quite pleased with a 9th place start for 1 token spent. Somehow made it, will be pleased enough with an 8th place start for 2 tokens spent. Fox, 3 tokens starting in 5th, very solid. Jaruni, 3 tokens starting in 3rd, even better. 3 tokens for Suicide, who starts down in 7th, not ideal for him, and Priya will be delighted. 2 tokens on the front row. That's a great indication, and especially when you look, and we can take a look here, at the pace of the Audi Sport Virtual. They've become the first team this season to reach level 4 in the speed department, around a track like Singapore, which essentially has 4 long straights, or 5 long straights, and maybe sort of 3 shorter ones. That is a critical thing to have. So they will be very much looking forward to this race down at the Audi team. Can Juan make a bit of progress starting 14th on the grid? We'll have to wait and see. Finally, we'll take a look at the standings at the moment, and we'll put up the tokens as well. Goose leads from Jake by just 2 points now after a very solid 7th place finish for no tokens in the Turkish Grand Prix last time out. Victory for Kada plus the fastest lap ensured his rise to 3rd place in the championship for Team Velocity, just 4 points off the championship leader Grandy, down in 4th place despite a P8 finish. The top 4 have just 1 token left between them. That is Goose's token. That is being spent here today. That could make all the difference, but it's not completely ideal. He would have liked to do it at a track where fewer people are spending tokens. Here, he'll have to compete with 7 others, all of whom are spending more tokens than him. Looking just on the fringes, the big sort of pack of drivers that needs to be concerned about. 5th down to 8th, Anti, Jaruni, Juan, and well, it says Todd here, but yeah, no, it is actually Todd in 8th, but he's that is bizarre. I'm not quite sure what that's about. Anyways, maybe it's sorted it wrong. No idea. Regardless, have a little look at that discrepancy afterwards. Anti-Jeru and Juan, 3 tokens left for each of them. 5th, 6th and 7th in the championship. Anti definitely the closest to the front pack out of those drivers. Looking in the team's championship now, and it's a dire situation for Fox. Oversteer experience, they need 17 points to draw them back up with Lead Poor. They have 2 fewer tokens to do it with. Pappy Pops tied for the most tokens with Lead Poor, 8th and 9th. Those teams are, they're going to be looking to make up some points, although Pappy Pops are 14 points ahead of their competitors directly behind. Just 1 point behind Neon Sunset, who have 3 fewer tokens left to play with. So despite Pappy Pops falling from their championship lead that they held in round 2, not all is bleak. They could be on for a good result today if Suicide does well with his 3 tokens and Pappy with his 4 next week. In the final token spending race, Thunder Rex all the while have gotten themselves up as predicted into 3rd place in the championship. Velocity also up 3 spots into 5th. They move ahead of Audi. Before last race, Audi were in 3rd, Velocity in 8th. That has now switched around with them tied on points. Velocity ahead on the tiebreak. BFX also up to 4th position. They'll be looking to do something good with Jeru's 3 tokens spent here today. That is all the waffling I am prepared to do. Let's get straight into the racing action. Here we go then. The Singapore Grand Prix. We're underway. Prix starting on the soft compound tyres will immediately look to put pressure on pit crew. Girouni behind had half a look up the inside into turn 1. Corvid does get through on Girouni through turn 3. Can he try and move on Prix here? It's going to look very dicey up the inside of that 90-degree right, all the while pit crew boosting away. Corvid with a lot of turbo deployed there does get through that right-hander safely, just about keeps it out of the barrier. It's a very treacherous corner that we've seen a lot of drivers really struggle at in previous seasons. Corvid not struggling at all on this opening lap. He goes from 4th up to 1st position as we head onto lap 2. He's got Suicide now not far behind. He got up into 3rd briefly. Prix now just back past him. She's going to have a look at pit crew, who is starting to sink like a stone in water on that hard compound tyre. Prix does screw up the move slightly, uses a bit of turbo, not just to try and get back to pit crew, but also defend from Suicide behind. Girouni, meanwhile, in 5th place now. Fox has fallen position to 6th. Todsod up into 7th, a good start from him. Grandy's fallen down to 8th, somehow made it. Dropped a spot to 9th, but Rito up to 10th. Caddo with a great start, he's up to 11th position. Pappy in 12th, Anti, then Goose with a single token down in 14th place now. A really poor position for him to be in. Shiloh, then Abva and Jake. Juan right at the back. He has done the opposite of what we hoped, or what we thought that Audi hoped he might do. On this currently clear evening here in Singapore, Corvid leads, and speaking of clear, he is clearly out in the lead. That is a very impressive margin for the driver. Juan sliding in the background, but it's his teammate Prix, who I thought we were looking at for a second, that is more of a concern here. Pit crew goes hell for leather up the inside at turn 1 and just sends it off there. Prix sent slightly off the track. Suicide could manage a double overtake here if he plays his cards right. He needs to get down the inside of Girouni, which he manages. He needs to hold it out through the exit, which he manages. Can he turn it into 3 cars within a matter of corners? He gets a very tight exit there and does manage a triple overtake at the start of lap 4. He's up into 2nd place, but for how much longer? Pit crew using that turbo, the triple upgraded Thunder X turbo. A good call from them at a track where that can be ever important. Girouni slightly wide as he runs through turn 2 there, but Suicide not able to get the move done just yet. He's going to have to wait as they go down that straight through the former Singapore sling. Suicide and Jeru side by side on the exit as they go through there, but he does now get the move done. Slightly forced into the wall, Jeru with a bit of a tank slapper on Sui, and Sui does slam into the barrier there, so not amazing sportsmanship from the Belarusian. Meanwhile, Fox, who did fall to 6th at the start, back into 5th. Prix now down in 6th after she was running up, or started rather, up in the top 2. Todsod has had an amazing start for a driver not spending any tokens, while his teammate does spend one, finds himself well out of the top 10. Pit crew has broken away from this pack massively, actually. Lots of battling has sort of distracted us from the fact that it's now turned back into a fight for the top 2. Pit crew on the hard has closed up to Corvid on the soft, who is experiencing a little bit of that tyre wear, and pit crew ruthlessly dives through that final chicane. We'll get the move done, and then we see the gaggle of cars behind. Jerry stays out, Suicide comes in, as does Prix, Todd and the like all stay out as well. Grandy, Fox and Girouni, your 4th, 3rd and 2nd place drivers. Now Todsod, and somehow I made it, 5th and 6th. Great starts for the both of them. Somehow made it up the inside. Can he pull it off here? It's a very tight angle and there wasn't the room to squeeze through on the Canuck. He will stay in 6th position for the minute. Rito just behind. Caddo now in 10th position, with Suicide coming into the pits right behind. And look, this is actually now bit of an issue for these drivers. Those soft pitters weren't able to pull much of a gap on the field behind, so you have the likes of Prix coming down now into 12th place. Should be a lot of drivers who just haven't made their stop yet. Caddo, one of them, doesn't provide too many issues for the Audi Sport Virtual driver, but you can see slightly further afield, Suicide does get in a little tangle getting past Rito. He's got his teammate next up the road. Somehow I made it. Not pitted yet, being passed by the pitter of Corvid, and Todsod will hold up the Aussie driver slightly, but he does manage to get ahead just before the apex, and that will allow him to coast on through in the Ledpool racing car. Fox moves up to 2nd place, Girouni moves into the pit lane, Corvid and Grandy whizzing by, as the Samaya made it. Suicide and Pappy, look at this for the Pappy Pops drivers. Won't last for long, but they are currently 7th and 6th position. That would be a great little haul of points, 14 as it stands. Priya in 8th though, she's on that fresh medium and she finds it rather elementary to get through. Jaruni also on a fresh medium, and that's really interesting. Having pitted a good, I think, 2 laps after his competitor, has come out in a very advantageous position right behind her on the racetrack with 2 laps fresher tyres, and a lap is nothing to sniff at Singapore. 2 of them is well over a minute. Corvid up in 2nd place now. Pit crew yet to pit. He's going to be hoping for a little bit of that tropical rain down in Singapore. They do have some torrential downpours from time to time. Corvid in 2nd. He's actually gotten himself into a great spot because of the lead that he was able to establish early on, just absolutely getting away from the pack. This could be a really good result for the Aussie driver. Yet to get a podium this season, not just him, but Leadpool Racing as well. This would be a very well appreciated one if they got it. Pit crew came into the pit lane, came out in 2nd place. This is fascinating. These drivers, the ones at least who started on the soft compound tyre, are really struggling to get through the pack. I mean, incredibly, are really struggling to get through the pack. So you see this with the likes of Priya. She's still down in 6th position. Pit crew extended as long as he wanted to on that hard compound tyre, and Priya, instead of getting the undercut, has, well, the overcut is really the meta here. That's what seems to be working out for these drivers. Especially now, pit crew only 2 seconds behind Corvid, because Corvid had to do a bit of the fight back through the field. Of course, the gap that he established over 3rd place at the start meant that he was able to get a bit more clean air, a bit easier. But look, now you see this, Suicide in 3rd place, still running well. Jaruni, then Fox on that hard, which he's just come in for, because he started on the hard as well. So he's only been on this new tyre for a couple of laps, and this is an amazing position for the Fox Oversteer team to be in. If they had any upgrades coming, they have 0 for this week, and they might well, as he sets the fastest lap of the race on the hards and coasts through on his countryman up into 3rd position. The team with only 1 finish in the top 6 this season, that was Fox's 5th place finish at the Circuit Vallelunga, where he took pole position as well, mind you, but no top 6 finishes other than that for the team in what has been a dismal season. They've stopped upgrades completely, I believe. Just a lack of care from the owners and a lack of money, really, to keep developing a team that they might think is already gone. Sent down to the, well, it's a great league, Challenger Virtual, but consigned to their fate, as it were. Pit crew might run into a couple of problems here. These drivers now coming out of the pit lane on wet weather tyres. It has taken a little while to arrive, actually, so he's made his way down a good chunk of the lap, but I think he was really hurt in that corner by the arrival of the rain. I think Corvid will be just ahead of him as he comes out of the stops. Look how slow the acceleration is through that corner. That can't be helped. Like, he's crawling in. Oh dear. Now that clouds are coming back, I probably would have gone for inters in that scenario, but you do definitely still need a wet compound of tyre. And look, Corvid going through, flying through, but it gets held up by his teammate at pit exit, Shiloh, providing some issues. Abva in last place, not letting the race leader through. What was initially very damaging for pit crew, he will be slightly less concerned by now, because that gap is only a second, and Corvid has now gotten through. Hilariously, we've got 1st and 3rd, Corvid in the Leadpool, Fox in the Fox. Their teammates battling over P19 and P20 as it stands, as pit crew in 2nd place does get through on Shiloh. He'll need to get through on Abva by the time this is done as well, and gets a little bit of traffic going through the final corner there. Coaster on his fellow South American in Kada. No more traffic between him and the big Aussie in front, but he has dropped back to a couple seconds behind him. The first drivers are in, Suicide and Jaruni, as the track is still a little bit damp. So they will just tiptoe around on their slick, but now they can get up to speed, and look at how much they get up to speed as well. Jaruni with the turbo is absolutely flying, and he carries so much grip through that corner as well in what is a very strong BFX car. 9 grip on that machine, 2 more than any of their competitors. SFR, Thunder X and Neon Sunset the closest when it comes to grip, but he was able to just pin it through that left-hander. Pit crew comes into the pit lane in the lead. How did that one happen? Oh, I'm baffled by that. Girouni goes through into second. I think Corvid either must have come in for... No. Because he's just come in. I didn't see what happened there at all. Maybe he got incredible traffic or he just had a really slow lap. But I'm afraid I didn't see that. He's now down to third position. He's got Suicide right on his both metaphorical and I suppose literal tail for the furry racing team. Fox, speaking of, in fifth position. Still seems to be holding that one down quite well. Gets a really good run through the final couple corners. Can he go to the outside? Corvid covers it off. But can he get a better exit through here? It's soft versus medium. He gets a nice little run through the right-hander. But still, they're just going to keep it going. Same distances, really. Corvid gets a very nice little swing through the left, right, left of that start of the middle sector, end of the first sector. He's right on the tail of Suicide once more. The front three. Pit crew, a good gap ahead of Girouni, a good gap ahead of Suicide and Corvid. What was an amazing gap for him coming at the start of the wet period and even before that, it's now completely evaporated, just as the water on the track has. Right, we'll take a look at the tyres. A bit of tyre rundown for you all. Pit crew on relatively fresh mediums. Girouni opted for the softs instead and came in that lap earlier. Remember, it was the undercut, I think, that really played into his hands here. And this could be great points for BFX as they look to cover a top 3 position in the championship. Maybe Flying V Racing just out of their grasp, 24 points ahead, but you never know. Corvid, meanwhile... And just to say, this is a disastrous looking race, and I can't see how it will improve that much for Goose, spending a single token, 16th place. You have to wonder, could that have turned a 2 token spend of his into a 3 token spend and a guaranteed race win if he had put an extra one in? And you can take a look at the driver's standings here. Looking at Jeddah or Palanga, if he'd been able to put in an extra token to make it 3 or 4, pardon me. And that would have made him 8 extra points versus putting it in at this race, and it's getting him no points, even at the very best. Probably would have gotten him only 4. It can make all the difference, that single token, and sometimes the 1 token spend is unfortunately just not the way to go. Different story completely in Apprentice Virtual, mind you. That's definitely worth watching if you haven't already. Corvid, though, looking to put pressure on Girouni, as I'm reminded to do my job. Still right behind him. Suicide has thoroughly dropped off now. His hards, they're not great at this circuit, I'll be honest. They can be good though. It's all about just not getting stuck in traffic. Somehow made it very rudely smashed into the wall by Prix. But no particular rules against that. Grandy running a quiet but solid race in 6th place. This would see him take 8 points, which would actually be on track to put him in the championship lead, or at least ahead of Goose, Jake and Caddo. Our top 3 in the championship currently running 13th, 15th and 16th position. I'm afraid I can't speak as to the drivers behind. Yeah, Jeru running in P2 I think would. He'd be on 64 points, so he would technically be in the championship lead at the moment. He's on 46 points. This is the thing as well. Ledport have not had a great season so far. You can speak for Pappy Pops and say, as we can pull up the constructor standings here, they're in 8th place. They've got 7 tokens left. Anything could happen. You know, Suicide could get a podium today. Pappy could get a win next week. Bish bash bosh. That's, 40 points in the bag. That'll take them right up to the top end of the field. Ledport, that 14-point gap is significant, and they've had no podiums this season. You have to say, after what was a stellar first campaign in which they were 3rd place in the championship, it's been a little bit disappointing for the team in pink. Corvid into pit lane. He came into the pit lane in 2nd place. He's lost position to Suicide. Fox came in at the same time, as did Grandy, so that will slightly spare his blushes in terms of positions lost. Grandy has a good gap back, actually, to Prix, who we thought, after starting in 2nd and having a good start to the race as well, was going to really benefit, particularly with the 4-speed you can see on that Audi car. I suppose the other characteristics of it, 8 acceleration can be quite good at this circuit, but 2 grip I think will hurt you, and 4 turbo not great as well. You can see why Fox is probably doing quite well actually. 8 turbo on that car, not too shabby. We thought that Prey would be doing a little bit better at this stage in the race. Suicide into the pit lane, Girouni and Corvid back through, and Fox will just sneak through on his compatriot. And Wait, no, I'm being an idiot. Sorry. Suicide and Fox are not compatriots. Suicide is French. Fox is Canadian. They are similar, but not entirely the same thing. I was thinking of Suicide's teammate Pappy, currently running in 10th position. That'd be a nice little point for the Pep Pops racing team, especially since he's just come into the pit lane. This could be a good fight between him and Todd, who are compatriots, and I can assure you of that. Prix chasing down Grandy. Meanwhile, though, we've got a good fight on for the race lead as we approach the 2/3 marker in this race. It's Girouni looking pretty quick out on the soft compound tyre. He is the only driver in the entire field on the soft compound tyre. Everyone else really looking at that hard as an option, but they won't be able to take that all the way to the end because that would be 14 lap stint and the hards can only really go up to 11. So unless pit crew may be thinking of 9 laps on the hard followed by 5 on the soft, that is definitely a possibility. That would be quite a clever strategy to pull. Girouni might be doing the inverse, bit of soft now, bit of hard later. The medium's also not a terrible choice. They sort of bridge that gap 7 to 10 laps. It just depends on how much you back the grip of your car. Pit crew with a surprisingly clean move. He did make a bit of contact there, but he does retake the lead of the race. Is it too late for him to mount a title charge? Well, 25 points would see him go up all the way to 53. That would see him take 5th place in the championship, or there or thereabouts. Girouni will probably get through as well. But he would still be 10 off the championship lead. However, don't count him out completely, because if you look at this, he does have 2 tokens left to spend after the 3 that he spends today. So, podium with that, maybe a top 5 finish, you never know. He could yet still defend his title. And of course, next race we go to the track that he chose, the Winners Circuit. Oopsie daisies. That's the one. As is convention in Ultimate Virtual ever since season 3, the winner does get to choose a track of their choice. In season 4 it was Eurus the champion, and he chose season 3's champion was Eurus, and he chose Estro for season 4. Season 4's champion was Rito, and he chose Bielaveja for season 5. Season 5 champion was Anti. He chose Kimi Ring. No, sorry, he chose Innsbruck Ring for season 6, and season 6 champion was Pit Crew, who chose the Daytona Road Course for season 7, which will have its soft launch tomorrow. A little PR day out at the circuit just to show off its brand new renovations. Of course, there was an old version of the circuit that we could have raced at. That would have been the backup plan, but this shiny new version of the track will be run. It even has the option of being run under the lights, but I believe the league plans on doing the race during the daytime to make it more hospitable for fans. Pit Crew leads by 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds over Corvid. Fox is still in this fight. Just a little reminder of the tokens. Our 3 token spenders are Pit Crew in first, Corvid in second, Fox in third, Jeru in 5th, and Suicide in 4th. Our 2 token spenders, somehow I made it, slightly struggling, down in 8th position, as well as Priya. 2 tokens for her, and she's in 7th position. Somewhat incredibly, Grandy in that Thunder X, which does have 3 speed, but also 7 grip, 7 acceleration, 5 turbo. It's a very good car in all departments. Well-rounded as well. He runs in 6th, tokenless. A phenomenal result for the team. You know, they could... I mean, okay, if you pull up the constructors, they are, of course... that's not the one I wanted. This is what I want. They are, of course, still 29 points off the championship lead. But honestly, if Pit Crew wins this, and Grandy is able to take the 8 points that come with 6th position, even if they don't take the fastest lap, that's 33 points. That puts them, according to my calculations, in the lead of the championship, right? Because Jake's not scoring, Anti's not scoring. They're in 16th place. Pop this back. They're in 16th place, and Anti is in 11th place, so he could still score. In fact, he's quite close to scoring. But then when you look at Flying V Racing as well, Todd Sod, after a pretty decent start, he's now down in 12th position, and Goose, after an absolute mirror race, is in 15th. So it's it would actually, for genuine, put Thunder X into the championship lead, which I think would once again make them favourites, because this would be an incredible haul. They spend 3 tokens on this race, and they are currently on to score, because of Grandy's provisional tokenless points, 33 points. That is a return of 5.5 points per token. For reference, winning a race with 4 tokens is 6, or 6.25. So this is pretty much... Wait, no, this is even better. Hang on. I've screwed up the maths here, haven't I? Yeah, that would be 6 tokens. No, they'll be on for 11 points per token. That's unbelievable. 11 points per token from this race alone. We were wondering if they could pull it back, if they could manage it. Yeah, they would go into the championship lead by 4 points. Fox is now in 2nd place. Corvid has come in for fresh softs. We'll do another tyre rundown. Pit crew out there on the old hards. Fox on even older hards. Girouni on slightly less old mediums, and he will get a nice tidy little move done, and we'll get it finished as well. The grip difference between those drivers not to be underestimated. And the rain's on its way, so that really screws over Corvid on the soft. Suicide also recently pitted for the soft. Grandy just pitted for the soft as well. Priya has now come and pitted for the wet, and the rain does come now. She may yet catch him before they hit the pit entry even now. Our front runners do come in. Picker on the wet, Girouni on the wet, Corvid on the wet as well. This will be an interesting little fight as we see Suicide sliding around. Grandy there, you can see Priya coming through these corners with just that bit more grip. This could really dent the title hopes of Thunder X, because sort of 2 points here for a single position can really matter when push comes to shove. Grandy into the pit lane. Priya basically passes the pit entry as he approaches his box, and by the time that he gets all the way trundling to the end of the pit lane, he may yet be undercut by Somehow I Made It, who is flying through turns 1 and 2. Does get a poor exit out of turn 3. Will use a bit of boost. If he can get track position here, that would be huge for his race result. He does use boost. Grandy uses some. Somehow I Made It uses more, but alas can't quite get that move pulled. For a brief moment he was up into 7th position. Grandy was down in 8th, and that would have seen Thunder X, I mean hilariously, not in the championship lead. Behind on tiebreak. We can hear the fans, the bells of the cars having just come out of the pit lane as well. But that would have put them behind, because they are one of the few teams, along with Neon Sunset, Lebpoor and Fox, to have not won a race this season. They'll be behind on tiebreak. It's a race that they did, well, that they've always done amazingly at, really. Even from the very start of Sunday League Virtual, they were one of the teams to prioritise speed, and that saw them, you know, lead the World Drivers' Championship for multiple rounds. They did it in Season 3, and they finished 1 and 3 here. A dramatic final corner overtake for Grandy on Sobel. And they may look to pull off another heist, but Grandy down in 7th place makes it all a little bit more precarious. They will only be 2 points clear out in the lead of the championship. They'll have 1 token left, but so will Superfast have 3. So it could be a really fascinating scrap for the Constructors' Championship as we come towards the end of the season, and a real testament to these two teams who have gone for such differing design philosophies. 3 speed for Thunder X, 7 Excel, 7 grip and 5 turbo. SFR sacrificed the speed, went early for the acceleration and grip, and have gone more on the turbo. But Thunder X still, that 1 speed level really can make all the difference because of how difficult it is to develop it. Meanwhile, as we get to the final corner, pit crew, and for Thunder X's first victory of the season, will take it here in Singapore. Girouni, 2nd place, as it was for him a couple of seasons ago, or even last season perhaps, and Corvid will come home to take the podium. He knows it could be more than that, but he will be happy enough with a 3rd place finish. Fox in 4th, Suicide will take 5th, Priya will come home to take 6th, Grandy, with his teammate lapping him hilariously, pit crew on the cooldown lap. Grandy not really fighting for any position particularly, but he'll take 8th, Somehow Made It 7th, Thunder X, looking like they would have led the championship after this race, have thrown it away somewhat. Tonsod will come home and take 2 points for Flying V Racing, and they wouldn't have led it anyways. It is a single point for SFR, and that single point sees them move to 113. That is 1 point ahead of Thunder X in the Constructors' Championship. Fox took the fastest lap, but Pit Crew was your winner. His second career race win. Amazing to think that he has that few. Girouni in second. Corvid took a podium, led Paul's first podium of the season, and Girouni first podium since that Monaco race that he won. Pit Crew, first win for him and for Thunder X this campaign, his second in his career. Fox, it's the first top 4 finish for the Fox Oversteer Experience team. 13 points they scored today. Just unfortunate that their closest relegation rivals finished 1 position ahead of them, or exactly 0.82 seconds. Suicide takes 5th for Papapops Racing. He would have hoped for a bit more than that. He'll be fine with it, I'm sure. They will be safe for another season, pretty much guaranteed as a result of that. It was 6th place for Audi Sport Virtual, 7th place for Audi Sport Virtual and Prix. She would have hoped for more off the front row start. 7th place for Somehow I Made It, 8th place for Grandy, who just fell away towards the very end of that race, and 6th place would have seen them, or even a 7th place would have seen them take the championship lead, but alas they trailed by 1 point. Todsod in 9th and Anti in 10th. Rita took 11th place in the end ahead of Pappy, then it was Caddo, Kraft, Goose down in 15th with a single token spent, a token put to waste unfortunately for him. He will not get any reward from that, and his championship lead, I believe, will it finally slip away? It's a good question that I asked myself. Yes, Girouni's second place gives him 18 points, putting him on to 64. Goose finally cedes his championship lead. He would have needed a 8th place finish or higher to maintain it this race. Jake Brad 16th, he's second in the standings, or he'll go down after this. 17th, not able to pull back a comeback. He just fell back from the start of the race. Maybe speed, not the all important factor here. You do need a bit of grip as well. Shiloh 18th, Cada 19th, Abford 20th, 2 minutes off the winner. That is all for this week. We have just 2 races left in the Ultimate Virtual season before we go on a nice long sunny holiday before we start the summer season. But Daytona next week, a unused, unseen track that will be launched for its first public appearance tomorrow. Very, very exciting indeed before we finish off in Interlagos. Lots of speed required for the end of the season, but that will all come soon. For now, bye-bye.